This is Ramnath Mani with yet another episode of the evolution of industrial automation in India. In this episode, we are going to continue the chat we had with Ranjan De, the veteran from industrial automation, who was earlier the managing director of Allen Bradley and then a subsequent management executive from ABB. We will now go back to Ranjan. And then the transition came, I think, starting from the cement plants into PLC.
Right.
And you have been deeply involved in that, transformation of PLC and then the cement plant, etc., while in DBK.
Yeah.
So could you say something about that?
Yes, I think this is, one thing I remember that you and Jayanto, because there was a Orient Cement was a customer, and we used to sell drives to them, and we have supplied some drives for the kiln machine. And Mr. S.P. Sinha was the chief engineer, and he was previously in Holtec, and then from Holtec he joined there. Very strong technical person. So I think once I was in the team, and you, I think Jayanto was there, and I was that time as design engineer, so I was not a sales guy, so drawing and everything. So he suddenly told that these drives pipes are theek hai, but this is something new is coming. Why don't you do that? Then I think he is the first person whom I heard talking about PLC. Then he gave some brochure, and then I think we had an internal meeting, and where I just saw one brochure, which is lot programmable logic control. I didn't know anything of PLC because drives I knew because from my college, but this is something programmable. So that was the first exposure. Then of course there's a long story that they visited. Then I think those things.
Yes. Now you moved from DBK to Allen Bradley in the joint venture because after DBK did some excellent work in terms of commissioning about 6-7 cement plants with Allen Bradley PLCs.
Right.
We entered into a joint venture with them.
Right.
Now, and you were one of the first to shift to
Right. I was the first employee
and run it. So can you tell something about that? How the transition of PLCs, how it first landed in India, in the senses that how it was getting used, and what they at that time what they saw the future for the PLC.
See, when we first went for a training in Brussels, that time when we saw the PLC, it from the talk we can hear the PLC which are using is quite a big one, and those is going to get smaller. Second thing, another thing which was a base driving factor was that time the import was very restricted, and import of equipment was about I think more than 200% duty, and you need a specific license to import. So it was a kind of since CIL was making, so it was kind of banned item. So importing a PLC was a big problem, and also it can only be imported if specific up to a project. So if a new project is coming, you know that the new project is coming. Under that, you need to get endorsed the license and all that, and you can only import as per the bill of materials of that particular project. So if you really, we could see there are many applications are coming at various places, but you can't go anywhere because people will not buy because anyway relay logic etc. is much cheaper. So why should a person change to PLC? Which drove the team of DBK that it can be as only successful if you can manufacture it in India. So that's why the shift, and again manufacturing, because in the same time the manufacturing technology was available from Allen Bradley, and they were ready to give provided there is joint venture company. And they say that first the main brain can be imported. Anyway, that will cost, but the main 80% of the components are input-output modules, which can be manufactured in India, where the parts or the components can be brought, and even the PCB can be designed there, and something can be indigenized, and that's how the manufacturing. So we are one of the first in the country, I think, before even L&T or Siemens, we started this manufacturing concept has come. And this company's goal was that the DBK will be the engineering company, or they will be doing the marketing, and the AB control will be doing the manufacturing. And for logistic reason, they say it should need to be set up at in Delhi because next to the port, next to the government, next to the customer, connectivity wise, well connected compared to Calcutta. So all the feature wise, it makes sense to do manufacturing. And we said that we would like to make a state of the art manufacturing facility, which really gave me excited. And I was really grateful to the DBK management, especially DK Khaitan and yourselves and some of the key people, Mr. Murthy, to consider me as a person to go and set up the factory. Of course, the other team went, but that was a big breakthrough in my life.
Yeah, good. Now, of course, now talking about Alan Bradley in India, I mean, you have been one of the pioneers again setting up that unit. And how did the PLC market grow? I mean, from where did it start growing? And, and it grew exponentially after that.
Yeah.
And I think in your number of years with Alan Bradley, you have seen the phenomenal growth that it has taken.
Yeah. Yes.
So what actually prompted that growth and how it happened?
You see, earlier days, PLC was only used in a plant with the new plant where people where needs control is required. Basically, again, it is more of a since we are in the cement industry and paper industry, these two industries. But once actually we find that actually if you go abroad and if you see the abroad market, especially in Europe and USA, the programmable controller maximum usage is in the machine, and automotive was the one of the major sector which actually pushed the development of PLC. Actually, Allen Bradley they were making contactors and relays and resistors. They were pushed by the automotive company GM to develop this PLC. So then when India slowly the automotive companies start coming. So we felt that it is not the core sector, and it will only go to the also go to the sector where it is different type of industry. And especially I'll just tell you the market. You see, normally in an automotive company, they do not make themselves everything, they just assemble. There are many people around an automotive company who supplies the equipment to them, and they all needs automation. So actually the strategy of the whole selling was the automotive company will decide the stand, and it is a standardization is one of the key things. That there are maybe hundreds and 200 machines will come up different types, press, pending, body shop, etc. But where all the PLC has to be same because of maintenance, because of training, etc. And another thing which is come that the electrical engineer, the language of writing a PLC is a pure electrical engineer relay logic diagram. So people are they're comfortable instead of writing program in C or that time in Pascal. It is a very easily written program, so it become universally accepted. So we find that machine tool industry is one of the key industries, automotive industry is one of the key industries, food and beverage industry. So the exponential growth came because the core industry is once it is installed, the requirement goes down. But whereas these people like food, beverage, then slowly another thing come when the economy opened up, all the multinationals started coming. Cadbury's, Nestle's, Goodyear, Michelin. These are the people, GM, Ford, Hyundai. These are the people used to started coming to India. Kellogg, these milk products. People, they're all Glaxo, then Procter and Gamble's, Hindustan Lever. Those people have started coming into India, and they are the one of the corporate account of Allen Bradley, and they are the huge PLC users. So which gave a huge growth in the PLC. When it grew exponentially because slowly all the relays were replaced because you don't need any logic, and also finally you do not need even a larger size contactor to drive a motor. So that's how the industry grows exponentially. So all kind of applications. May it be the atta making. In fact, you used to supply it to a atta machine because I can remember we were selling to a atta machine factory, it's a rice mill. So person asked us that why should I use it? I'm making rice. I had nothing to do with any automation. So I'm making rice. Why should I use automation? Then we explained, look, you're making what is your wastage? They say if I from a husk, at least 30% is waste, because if the size of the rice is smaller, then the price drops by 25 to 30%. So what we could explain that if you use automation and the drives, then not only one of the things is the energy saving. Of course, that time the AC drives has come. Not only you save energy, but also you produce consistently a quality size which will pay you off within 2 years of the investment what you pay.
Now, beyond PLCs, when the when the industry started, growing and, started using automation,
Yeah.
I think the drives were there, the PLCs were there.
Right.
And then, for a lot of these process industries, they had DCS, they had, other things like SCADA and all. How did you, being in Allen Bradley, how did you see that market develop?
You see, the another thing, PLCs were more of a control, but actually they are you can say brain and hand, but actually the eye are the HMI, human machine interface, or the man machine interface, the software. So slowly from 80s onwards, we find that this slow, and it was all dedicated. Earlier, all the man machine interface was dedicated, so it is dedicated to a. So the two things has developed. One is the connectivity, because you will find in any plant, supposing an existing plant has got a Siemens base, if he wants to go and buy Allen Bradley, he has a problem because they don't talk to each other. There are different protocols. So the connectivity was one of the issue which came, that people should be open and there should be uniform connectivity. Second is the software should be upward upgradable, and slowly the hardware, common hardware should be used, and a basic standard software to be used for making the man machine interface. That's how the library development of the computers and come. And you see the difference between DC and PLC, many people used to debate. But if you really see that there is not much of a difference, because actually the DCS was a pioneer in developing mostly in the oil and gas industry. It is mostly the HMI, the man machine interface, and the engineering, which used to engineer the whole plant. And a person can see sitting in his control room how the machine is performing, how the process is performing, how the loop is performing. But the actual control is done by the PLCs. So if the PLC can be connected with a higher level of HMI, so that's how Allen Bradley started pushing upward, and so the software has come. And then slowly we find that it's at the later stage. The earlier, though, the speed of the another internet was not, and TCP/IP was non-descriptive, where you cannot push on the control data. Secured data was not possible. So once that became possible, then people started talking about IoT.